Hey guys, TRScientist here, and today I am back for the last day of r/PettyRevenge, where I am literally recording this because of just many issues. But let's try not to dwell on that. We got some stories. They're all about phones and phone calls. Let's get into them. So I have like 6 lined up, which is probably the most I'll ever have. The annoying part is just finding them. First up, she constantly called the wrong number and demanded I return a dress that a stranger borrowed. In 2002, I had an older woman constantly call me, thinking I was Emily Jaworski. I was listed in the phone directory as E. Jaworski, and she said I sounded just like Emily. Her name was Susan. I hung up on her every time. She called about once or twice a month. I didn't block her because in the ancient dinosaur days, the phone company charged $3 a month to block someone. I wasn't going to spend any money blocking her. I used *69 to get her phone number and this fairly new search engine called Google to confirm her name was Susan Jaworski. I have the same last name as these people, but I wasn't closely related to them, if at all. I debated calling her home number to speak with a family member and tell them to get this woman to stop calling me. Decided I didn't want to get that involved. The final straw came when she called me after midnight because Emily had borrowed her purple dress and she wanted it back. Once again I said, I am not Emily and you must stop calling me. She said, whether it's my dress. Click. 2 days later, one of my friends disguised her phone number and called Susan on behalf of the local police. She told Susan that I was going to press harassment charges if she didn't stop calling me. Susan accidentally called me again a year later, but realized her mistake after I answered. She sounded terrified. For clarity, she only called about the dress once after midnight. Isn't it illegal to have someone impersonate a police officer? I'm pretty sure it's illegal. Yeah. But good on your friend for doing something illegal to help you out. You say you only called the boss out of concern for my well-being? Well, being that you called him, I had to follow suit. A few weeks ago, my co-worker, CW, was negotiating some minor protocols which left some equipment down overnight. He also didn't send emails to some of our remote teams regarding downed equipment. So I did him a solid, or so I thought, and sent him, and only him, an email telling him what he did wrong. The very next night, he did it again, and I brought it up to him again. Because no one wants to be a snitch to the boss, right? Wrong. The very next day, I failed to charge my phone and woke up to realize my phone was dead and I was late to work, so I got dressed and boogied my sorry ass to work, which was only a 5-minute walk for me. I apologized for being 50 minutes late and he seemed cool about it, until I found out that he called the boss after only 25 minutes, something no one on our team had ever done in my years of working here, claiming he was just concerned for my well-being. Even my boss told him just to wait it out and that he was sure it was just an accident and that it happens sometimes, because he's fucking cool like that. My boss even told me afterwards that it was no big deal and couldn't imagine why CW would call him at 7:10 in the morning on a Saturday where there was literally nothing he could do about it. Then he asked me about a piece of equipment that got left down for 6 hours, so I had to come clean. I told him that I sent co-worker an email about it, and then it happened again the next day. He asked me to forward the emails to him so he could address them with CW. He also asked me to not shield CW from incidents like this because it made the whole team look bad, and he needed to address it with CW personally. So now, every time I catch a mistake CW makes, which is far more often than I thought, I forward the information directly to the boss so he can see firsthand all the mistakes CW makes. I haven't talked to CW much since the incident, I am curious about his well-being though. I just wanted to add that the first email I sent him was very diplomatic and non-confrontational, but the second one had more of a dude, get your shit together kind of feel to it. We have protocols in place that prevent these outages, and this was 2 bad days and 5 major issues. It was a fair amount of downtime. I don't get, how do you even get a job like that if you're gonna be horrible at your job? It's just astonishes me how people get to these jobs while being bad at said job. I'm just dumbfounded. Okay. Come on, where are you? Called the police on me? Have your car towed. I was showering this morning and like to have music on my phone while I shower. The music was playing on my iPhone X on the bathroom counter, not on a speaker or anything. I keep the window open for ventilation. The lady that lives 2 houses away from me was walking her dog and apparently could hear my music. It's coming from an iPhone, so it's really not very loud. I can barely hear it in the shower. Ultimately, she called the police and complained that I was blasting music at 6 a.m. and waking all the neighbours. First of all, I've lived here for 15 years and I know all the neighbours. She's lived here for 2 months and has been a total Karen the whole time to all of us. Anyways, her house only has 1 parking spot, but she has 2 cars. There is a spot on my property, but I have a very clear sign that says, no parking violators. No parking violators will be towed at owner's expense. She's parked here before, and I've let it slide because I don't want to make waves with my neighbours. Well, the police showed up and she showed the police a video she took this morning. An officer and I laughed privately as he told me how ridiculous she was being. Then I nosed her car in my spot. Her car just got towed away. I bet this person is posting right when this happened. Considering you just said her car just got towed away. So this story is very fresh at the time. And it's just brilliant. It's like, hey, I see your car right there. It's gone now. Okay. Come on. I kept getting collection calls for someone else. Wouldn't stop until I left messages for their CEO and CFO at home. I live in a corporate relocation apartment for 3 months while relocating for a job. I started getting collection calls for the previous occupant almost immediately. They called multiple times a day. It would wake up my kids during naps, after bedtime, weekends, you name it. I started by politely letting them know I wasn't the person they were looking for. Nicely, rudely, begging, you name it. Went through the stages of depression for it. They were incredibly rude and refused to tell me their names, name of their supervisor, etc. I was at my wit's end. After one particularly nasty encounter, I snapped. I started Googling, pre-Google equivalent, their corporate officers, etc. I found the CEO and CFO had very unusual names and quickly discovered they had publicly listed phone numbers. Yes, it was not a huge bank, and this was early 2000s before people were exclusively using cell phones. This was approximately 8 p.m. on a Sunday night. I called each number explaining that since I kept receiving collection calls from their company, in spite of not being the person that they sought, every time they called me, I'd call them. Left my phone number and name and hung up. Not even 10 minutes later, I got a call from their IT department asking for all the pertinent info. Who the customer was, my name, and how to spell it. I never got a call from them again. I hope someone got fired. How do you fuck up a person moving location? It's just like, why? It's like, oh, how do you fuck that up? Yeah, and I hope someone got fired for fucking that up. Because that is stupid. Okay, last story of the day. We're going the top of all time here on r/PettyRevenge. So you want to snoop in your daughter's texts. So I'm married to a wonderful woman. She's smart, funny, and very kind. Her mother is generally very nice and tends to have a great attitude and be very enjoyable. A bit of a prude, but generally enjoyable. However, can be a bit of a major snoop. If my wife leaves her phone sitting around, she'll just pick it up and start going through it. My wife has kind of laughed this off as a remnant of her mum being controlling when she was a kid. I'm not a fan of this because my wife and I will sometimes text about things that simply don't involve her mother, and I don't feel are her business at all. So over Christmas, I saw my wife set her phone down on the kitchen counter, and I had a brilliant idea. Her mum was still in the kitchen, and I sent my wife the most sexually depraved text about all the things I was going to do to her when everyone left. Honestly, most of them are things we haven't even done, but I had to make it extra scarring. I sent this text from the bathroom. And maybe it was my imagination, but I could swear I could hear an audible gasp shortly after her phone went off. When I went out, her mother absolutely would not look me in the eye. Then, not so discreetly, asked her daughter to come talk to her in the other room. When my wife came back into the living room, I thought she had been crying. However, on closer inspection, she was laughing. Her mother had questioned her about me sexually abusing her, and if I always talked down to her like that. My wife had told her kindly that what we do between us is us and us only. Probably the best gift this Christmas. I wonder what some of those positions were. Downward dog. The old 69. The old Humpty Dumpty. I feel like I should just put the clip from Miss Doubtfire in. Because Miss Doubtfire at the dinner scene where Miss Doubtfire is talking to the other guy with all the innuendos. She's like the most perfect thing. The old Humpty Dumpty. Oh my gosh. But I don't edit videos. I try to upload them as raw as possible unless I have to cut something out because of just random things that happen. Links will be in the description to my main channel and also the channel you're on right now where you see links to the playlist and the last episode. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know when the next video comes out. A ding, I'm the Mad Scientist. Mad Scientist out.